Kicking off the 2025 season, we're excited about our off-season program that we just went through with our players, obviously draft class, and some of the veterans that we added to the roster. I thought Coach Callahan and his staff did a good job this offseason, just helping this football team grow. And Mike worked with our nutrition staff and strength coaches and sports scientists, and even challenged these players a little bit from a body composition standpoint. And these guys came in shape. Some guys changed their body comps. They look great. They're ready to go. I know I saw a lot of guys coming in and out of this building throughout the summer even. So they're excited to be here, and we are too, and we look forward to what's ahead of us. Obviously, we got a lot of work to do as a football team over the next 5 weeks. Is going to be really, really important to us. And it will continue not up to the first game of the season in Denver, but even really the first 4 games of the season, really finding out what kind of football team we do have. And that's always exciting for us as personnel men to really see what we got. And we're just excited about it. So appreciate everybody being here.
I just want to echo a lot of stuff that Chad said, the excitement that we have here coming into camp. I thought we did some really good things in the spring, and it's going to be really good to build upon that, and it's going to be important. Our work is never done, though. We're always going to be looking to improve this roster wherever we can. I think we added some good players in the offseason here to help the competition here on the roster, whether that's in free agency or the draft. I think it's a good mix of vets and young guys right now. And you could see in the spring, too, these vets are pulling along these young guys and really helping them out. So it's a good thing to see in terms of the team building aspect. We're looking forward to, training camp here and really to make improvements every day. And that's what we're trying to do. Just a few roster updates. Lloyd Cushenberry will start on PUP. He's making good progress right now. He's just not there yet. I would say he's week to week right now. Same thing with LJ. Jarius, he's going to start out on PUP. LJ's been working really hard here in the offseason to get back, and he's week to week as well right now. Will Levis, we put out a statement on him yesterday that he will have shoulder surgery and be out for the remainder of the season. And the other one is Lorenzo Carter, who notified us yesterday that he will be retiring. So we wish him well. So with that, I'll open it up.
Mike, following up on Will Levis, how much of a surprise, not a surprise, was that decision from Levis, and what were kind of those conversations like with him?
Out of respect to Will, we have had conversations. He's been very transparent with us. We knew there was a possibility that he could have this surgery. But just out of respect with Will, to him, I'd like to keep those medical conversations private. But we were aware of it, though.
Can you explain the timeline? How does the timing fit for him, fit for you?
Yeah, we knew after the season, rest and rehab was the recommendation from our staff and from the second opinion staff that he sought information on. And there was an option that, they recommended that he push through the offseason, which he did, had a really good offseason, and if he felt discomfort, that he would proceed with the surgery, and that's what he did.
With Lorenzo retiring, how much pressure do you feel, or how much do you need to find another person on the?
Yeah, we feel good with the room right now. I mean, obviously, we had Draymond. We drafted Femi Yardens here. There's a chance we could add somebody here at some point.
I guess both of you like what you've seen from Cam through the course of the offseason. What do you hope to see from him here as camp begins?
Yeah, just growth. I think, Coach has mentioned in the spring he's really happy with the progression that he's had. And it's just really to continue to grow the playbook, the rapport with the receivers, reading coverages, all that stuff that goes into, playing in this league at the quarterback position. So, we feel really good about the progress that he's made and where he's headed.
Mike, do you feel like Will felt that he had, I guess, a legitimate shot at winning the starting job, and is there any chance that played a role in his deciding to go through with the surgery?
You'd have to ask Will. There was competition. That's what we stated from the beginning. That's what we're preaching is competition, and nothing's really going to change with that.
You mentioned some situation. This was initially a quad bruise, and he's now been out for all of last year and now lingering into this year. Why has that been so troublesome?
I mean, he did have a cleanup on his knee in May, which set him back a little bit, but he's making, progress here. He's really worked hard. He's been here during the summer. So, he's heading in the right direction, and like I said, we'll hopefully get him back here soon.
Guys come back from cleanups in May to be ready for the start of camp pretty regularly, if I'm not mistaken. You saw the other side of the knee in Kansas City where the Chiefs gave up on him. I mean, what's the level of concern with him being able to be a contributor for this team come September, plus with the legal issues hanging over him? How good can you reasonably feel about him at this stage?
Listen, I've keep in contact with LJ all the time. He's worked really hard to get back, and I feel really confident that he's going to be back.
Can you kind of take us into what that working hard looks like? What are you seeing from him? What are the details you can give about?
Well, he's continued to be here to rehab. He's been here in the summer, which he didn't have to be, but he's continued to do that, to rehab and to really work. And I've been in constant communication with him, so we feel good that he's going to be back here at some point.
Is the hamstring over? I mean, is the quad over with now? Is it all knee?
Yes. Right now, he's working his way back from the knee procedure.
You mentioned names, but Traylon Burks wasn't one of them. I'm assuming he's good to go for everything, or what is his status?
He is, yeah. He started to take some reps in OTAs, and he's done a tremendous job really getting himself back into shape here. Really proud of him, and look forward to see him compete here in camp.
You're new to him, so you're just now seeing, like, what are some of the pros and cons that you've seen just in the limited interaction you've had with him?
No, that he works really hard. I know he's a talented kid. He's just had some setbacks in his career so far. But he's been out there working, and I saw the shape that he came back in here today, which means, something that, it's important to him. So I look forward to seeing more of him in person here at camp.
Chad, did you guys hear from the NFL in terms of Snead's legal incident? Do you know if they're looking into that aspect of it?
Yeah, we're not going to comment on that. I mean, obviously people are looking into that, and there's nothing really we can shed light on at this point.
Chad,
How
how do you feel
concerned are
about
you with
corner?
Lloyd in terms of not only him getting back and working in with the new pieces and the things that have been rearranged on the offensive line, but also kind of developing a rapport with Cam in terms of the cadence, the snap, and all those sorts of things?
Who are you asking about? I didn't hear.
Kush.
Kush. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. And like I said, hopefully he's going to be back here soon. He's week to week, and he's making really good progress. So it's going to be important, though, for sure.
Chad, how do you feel about corner depth if and when Legarius isn't there?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of work to do at a lot of positions, not just corner. I think this camp you're gonna see. We'll continue to evaluate this every single day. We're going to look at other opportunities to upgrade the roster when we can. And if we're able to do that, we will. But we got some work to do, not just at corner, but other positions as far as depth is concerned. But I do feel good about the guys we do have here. And like I said earlier, I thought the team looked really good this morning, and just the way they worked this offseason, as well as just the way they changed their body comps. And I think they're ready to go.
Chad, you talked a lot about patience since coming in. How much is this offseason fit your vision at that time, and what are reasonable expectations for this team?
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that word, patience. I get that, but the reality is we understand where we are as a roster. We got a lot of work to do, and we're going to be relying on a lot of young players this season to carry this football team. And we need those veteran players as well to help those young players grow. So there will be some challenges, but I do want to see our football team improve from day to day to week, to where by the end of the season, we'll see what we look like, and hopefully we're healthy. This is a game; it's a war of attrition. So you got to be healthy, and there's just a lot of work to do. So it's hard to really define. If you're asking me what does success look like in 2025. I think that's for you guys to write about. I just want to see this team get better, and we'll go through another, season this year, acquisition. We got the first waiver claim. We're going to constantly be looking to upgrade this roster, If guys aren't getting the job done, then we'll get guys in here that will. So the top of the roster is just as important as the bottom.
What will be the things that you see that make you think we have gotten better? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that the off-season program, I was really impressed with what Brian did and how competitive it was within the rules, and just seeing the growth in some of the players and how certain players really have bought in, or really not just bought in, but use a phrase that Mike uses a lot, is that they believe in what we're doing, which is really important. And I'm just, I'm excited about what we have going on right now, knowing where we are as a football program. But there's, I get it. There's not a lot of star power on this roster right now. I do think there are some stars that will come through at some point. We're excited about the draft class. Obviously, you got Cam Ward, and he's got a lot of work to do and a long road ahead of him too. But I think you all have seen the talent. It's pretty impressive. And you asked the question earlier about him, and just the way he's gaining the respect of his teammates is something that I've seen from the peripheral of. It's been impressive, but we also know this is a performance-based business, so he's got to go out and perform, and he knows that. And when he does, it's just going to elevate the entire program. So there's just a lot of improvement that we got to make all across the board.
Mike, is the expectation to go through camp with these 3 quarterbacks, or do you feel a need to add a 4th at some point?
We feel good right now about the quarterback room. Like every position, though, we're going to continue to evaluate it. So. But right now, we don't see adding anybody right now.
You
How do you
guys
assess the
consider,
wide receiver room beyond Calvin, who's probably your most proven commodity?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of new pieces in there, right? There's some veterans, a good mix right now of vets and young guys, some unproven guys. But I think it's really good. You saw during the spring some of those, especially guys like Rid, who I've never really been around. I always knew he was a really good player, but the way that he takes his time out to teach these young guys is really important. And they look up to him and the way he works. So, I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think we have some talent in that room. Like I said, there's some veterans, there's some young, unproven talent. So, we're excited to see how this is going to unfold.
where does the confidence in Allen and Boyle come from, considering how poorly they've played when they've had the opportunity to be on the field in an actual regular season game?
They have game reps, they have starter reps. I think Brandon, obviously was with Brian in Cincinnati, has a really good understanding of the offense. And listen, he had a really good offseason here too. I was impressed with him. I've watched Brandon over the years, and every time he goes out there, he competes hard. We're going to continue to evaluate that position, like every position in training camp. So,
With the patience and looking for constant improvement, how does that apply to Brian Callahan? What are some of the things that you're looking for to say, okay, he's gotten better from then until now?
Yeah, do you want to have that?
Yeah, you can see it in the spring, the way he interacts with the players, the way that he communicates with them, and you could see them develop over the spring. And, I think he's got a really good control of the team. I've been impressed with that. Like I said, it's going to be an evaluation process here as we go through training camp, as we get into the season, and how he develops these players and how the coaching staff does. And so far, they've done a tremendous job.
And I'll just add there, TD, I wanted Mike to speak on it because, this is the first time he's had an opportunity to work with Brian. And I think he's been really impressed with Brian and just how smart he is, and he's a good football coach. And I know personally I've seen him grow from year 1 to year 2 like anybody would, whether it's a new GM or a new head coach or any position in your organization. There's a confidence there that I've been impressed with, and the way he's communicated with the players, with his staff, with everybody in the building. I've seen tremendous growth in Brian. We believe in Brian. I think he's done a really good job heading this offseason. But obviously, as we head into the season, we got to get these players' development. It's a big part of our program. We've been preaching draft and develop, and that's not going away. We want we need to have coaches who are just the best teachers that we can possibly find that can help these players, reach their potential. So by year 3 of a rookie deal, we know what we're dealing with. Is this a guy that we can really build a future around, or do we have to replace it, with another younger player or somebody else? So the development piece of this is essential. And I've been really impressed with Brian from the coaching, development, and just the whole understanding the big picture of how to run a football team.
How about Kevin Winston Jr. and the progress he's made here in the last month or so?
Yeah, Kevin's worked really hard here in the offseason, and he's ready to hit the ground running. He's in great shape right now. He's been here like the whole summer, watching film in the building and working out, and so we're really excited to see him.
I guess he
100% then?
He is right now.
DK and Io Manor specifically, you like what you've seen from them during the course of this offseason? Are there a couple of guys you could count on early this season if all goes well?
Yes, I think they've made tremendous improvements since they've been here. The big thing is with both of those guys is they work really hard, and they study really hard. And part of getting on the field early is knowing what you're doing. And they've done a tremendous job through the off season of picking up the playbook, and I think they're ready to hit the ground running here in training camp.
Going back to Lorenzo Carter, when did he tell you guys that he was going to retire, and were you all surprised by that?
He notified me yesterday. Yeah.
Was that a surprise to you?
Yes.
Chad, I know you touched on the conditioning earlier, and I know 3 guys at least, with Simmons and Latham and Sweat have talked about their weight loss. How much of a priority was that, at the end of last season, whether I guess it's improving conditioning or taking a different approach? Was that a significant emphasis?
Yeah, it was, and maybe Mike can even speak on his experiences a little bit when it comes to this lean body mass and the importance of that. But I think all 3 of those guys, Jeff's always in shape. Jeff really takes care of himself, and he looks great every time you see that guy. I think JC really, he took it upon himself. He came in after the season and knew he had to improve big time, especially being the type of player that we believe he can be in this league. And he did more than what we even asked of him. Wait till you see him here tomorrow. He looks great. He's in great shape. So all those guys have done the things that we've asked them to do in order to, when you're carrying around the weight, it makes it tougher on your joints and your body, and the injuries tend to increase. This is not like foolproof or anything, but you're just playing your odds and reducing your risk when you take care of yourself the right way.
Can you talk about the lean body?
It's the body comp analysis, really. For years, I think everyone just looked at body weight and body fat percentage. Now we're able to, look at lean body mass, how much fat mass you have on. So it's a better way, an indicator to where they need to get to. Not just saying I want this player to gain 10 pounds. Well, it needs to be 10 pounds of good weight. So we're able to, to read those, to read that analysis and try to, help these players along to try to get them to their ideal playing weight.
Chad, you said earlier you were excited to see the team you have over the coming weeks. What are the characteristics you hope to see in the next few weeks? And for Mike, this is your first time stepping on the field tomorrow in a training camp as the GM. No. What do you hope to see from the team you built?
We talk about this a lot: smart, tough, dependable. We got a lot of work to do. That was the emphasis of the off-season program. Is don't beat yourself. We did that a lot last year. We got to eliminate the pre-snap penalties, and it just seemed like every time we had an explosive play last year, it was being called back for some mistake that someone made. And you get what you emphasize in this league, and the off-season program was really about improving in those areas. But we just Mike and I talked about this a lot. We want a big, fast, physical football team, and obviously you want to be smart and tough and dependable as well. But that's what we're looking for. This is a tough game to play, and we're trying to find those guys who can show up not only every day during practice and perform, but especially on game day. You got to be able to come up, step up and play, and make plays for the team.
Are you open to having any extension conversations with a Roger, an Amani, or a Chick?
Yeah, that's always. We keep the phone lines open, and there's no timeline on those things. We don't shut things down. I know some organizations may say if we don't get a deal done by this date, then we shut it down. I never operated that way. I think those conversations will be between us and the agent, and depending on the situation, we're always having the open lines of communication.
Anything yet?
Nothing yet.
We got time for a couple more, guys. When it comes to the process that you guys will have next month with cuts and personnel changes and roster stuff, just can you kind of talk us through what you expect those to look like with you two and Brian, and who else might be involved when it comes to that?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere we've been, it's not one person's decision. I think it's really important. I emphasize this in the meeting the other day with the coaches, is the communication. I want it daily, not just in meetings. I want it on the field, in the building, we're passing. It's really important that we obviously get this right here at the end. So communication will be vital between the coaching staff and the personnel staff.
Yeah, as I walk around the building, I have touch points that in the morning I'm an early riser and I like to work out early, and I'll come in to see Mike first thing, head coach. There's at least 3 touch points a day, which it ends up being way more than that. But I make sure at least we talk in the morning about the day ahead. We talk on the practice field, and then late at night, one more time, just making sure that we're always communicating. But when it comes down to the cut down process, I mean, we're all going to be in the room. We're working on this together. We're evaluating them. I'm evaluating the tape the same as Mike is. We're having conversations daily. So I don't see this being any issue at all. We're going to work together, put this roster together. But ultimately, like I said before, Mike's building this roster, and the coach is coaching the roster, but we all got to work together to make this thing work.
Chad, Brian was pretty open this spring about how different the off-season program looked from his perspective from a year ago. Have you had any conversations with him about training camp and maybe some changes you and he would like to see going into this year's training camp?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. I think, I've had some experiences where I was with a head coach and Mike McCarthy where we didn't go out on the road and have joint practices, and then Matt LaFleur came in and introduced the joint practices. That was my first introduction to that. So that's something a little newer, I guess, for me. I know for Mike especially too. That's new for him, coming from Andy Reid system. So we did talk about the schedule. I think Brian has he does a good job as far as how to schedule the practices, where we have a jog through period the day after a day off, and you have 2 days of really hard practices, then a day off. And just the way he blocks it, like a periodization when it comes to like strength and conditioning, he does a similar concept throughout that to keep these players fresh. But we are going to go on the road this year as you know, for these 2 preseason games. And I think you maybe ask Brian about that when you get a chance to talk to him and his thought process around that. And part of that is just today's football. You don't have the old school training camp like you used to. And this is one way we can kind of create that and go on the road and be together. You have nowhere to go. And, connected team is a team that wins together. And we want our players to spend a lot of time together, get to know each other, and also go out and just hit a different colored jersey throughout the week, and have coaches like our DC as well as our OC or Brian be able to call plays against somebody else versus you're doing it the whole off season with your own staff. So I think there's a lot of benefits in that, and from a scouting perspective, we love it too. You get to evaluate a lot of players.
One more on Levis, please. You guys are quick to hold people out when they've got a nagging injury or anything going on at that time of year. Was he full go for you during minicamp and OTA?
Yes, he was full go.
Last 3 questions right here, guys.
Simple question. The team you put on the field tomorrow, can that team win the Super Bowl?
Listen, that's always the goal every year. Yeah. We also realize we have a lot of work to do on this roster.
Last 2, go ahead.
With the Titans defense last year, you guys were at or near the bottom in every pass rush metric and everything, not enough sacks. You guys just lost Lorenzo Carter. Why are you guys so comfortable with this pass rushing room? What have you guys seen from these pass rushers that make you think you're going to increase all those stats?
Well, when you get comfortable at any position, you get yourself in trouble. So I think there's a sense of urgency for every position group to improve. Listen, we made some additions with Draymond. Femi's a young kid in there right now. Arden's had a lot of experience. It's not just the outside pressure; it's the big guys inside too. And we have 2 pretty big guys in there that can push the pocket and create some pressure in there in other ways too. So, there's going to be an urgency to improve every part of this roster, though.
Last one.
Yeah, you guys think Cam Ward will show up at 5 a.m. tomorrow?
Sure he will.
Yeah.
He's been consistent. He works hard, and I think that's why the locker room really respects him, just the way he goes about his work. There's times he beats coaches into the building. There's been times where I come in pretty early and I see him coming in too. So he's been impressive. I imagine he will be.